Okay. I'm gonna do something that I'm gonna do something that no one wants to see, but is purely for me. And that is I'm going to tier list every single League of Legends champion. I have not played a significant amount of League of Legends um, in a long time. My downfall was everything post season 5 started being really shit. So here I am, and I am playing again a little bit because it's not so bad at the moment, but it's still pretty bad, and I still get very angry. But I'm gonna let out some of that pent up aggression by making what everyone makes in this situation, and that is a tier list. I'm going to be tier listing every single champion in League of Legends, every single one. And to start with, I'm going to do something that everyone should do when they create a tier list, and that is explain the criteria of what puts every champion in each tier. Now, this is purely a tier list of how much do how much does this champion give me the shits, or do I like this champion? It is purely just how I feel when I think about or look at a champion. For example, the Taric tier is specifically for Taric because Taric is the best champion in League of Legends history, the most perfect champion in League of Legends history, pre and post rework. And we can all be happy about the most beautiful man in League of Legends history. That's just how it is, okay? That's the Taric tier. No one else will be joining the Taric tier. However, if I see it appropriate, I may add another tier. I have no idea how to add tiers. Add row below. Okay, I think I can do this. Can I delete this row? Okay, I may have to separate tiers based on, like, let's say I have Darius in complete indifference, and I have, I don't know, someone else. Nah, but I feel a little bit worse about Nah than I do Darius, and I don't feel like putting them in the same one. I'll add a row above, and I'll make a Darius tier, and whoever I feel equally about Darius. But we'll figure that out as we go along. Oh my god, I don't know where any. It's not going to be in order. All right. So we have Tarek tier for Tarek. Very cool, thanks. Very cool, thanks. These are champions I like. These are champions that I enjoy playing a lot. And in some circumstances, I might not really be very good at playing them, but I think very cool. I have fond memories of this champion, and I always have a good time when I see this champion come up in an ARAM and I have to pick them or something like that. Complete indifference. This is probably the worst tier to be in because I do not have an emotional response about this champion one way or the other. This is where all the forgotten champions go. For normal people, this might be your Skarners of the world. Wow, it's the wrong Skarner. Maybe this isn't so up to date as I think it is. Whoa, we got new Skarner as well. Okay, we can rank both Skarners. Very cool, thanks. Indifference. Very cool. Very cool. Not a fan. These are champions I don't like. Champions I'm not very fond of. Miss Fortune I'm not particularly fond of. So she can be my example of not a fan. And I'm not a fan of this champion, even though I used to play this champion a lot back in the day, when I was learning the game, having a lot of fun. This is one of my go-to AD carries. And I'll still play her if she comes up in an ARAM, but I'm not particularly a fan of her because I don't like Make It Rain. I find Make It Rain very frustrating. Very frustrating. But I don't have so great an emotional response about Miss Fortune that I want to tear the fucking walls off my house. Okay, let's find a champion I really hate. And who better than the champion I hate most of all, and that's ooh, not Brand, actually. I can think of one I hate more. Lee Sin. Lee Sin. You will find a trend of me hating these cool champions. And I really especially hate Lee Sin. He is on my permaban. He is my permaban. I don't like the champions that everyone plays and get special treatment from Rito games and are always good, are always playable, are always getting picked. I don't like Lee Sin He is very frustrating. He's a bruiser assassin. He makes me very angry. I don't like to see him in my video game. Alright, and we'll see about the rest of them. So we'll start off with Aatrox, because we're going to do it mostly in order, except for the mix-ups I made. We're going to start with Aatrox. I don't particularly have a lot of feeling about Aatrox one way or the other. I'm not one of those guys that really hates the rework, because I really loved the old one. Even though I did play the old one more than the current one. I did. I very rarely play this champion. I can't tell you I know how to play this champion, but I can tell you I know that when I play against this champion, I don't usually get very upset. So he's welcome to stay there. I am not a fan of Ahri. Ahri, fortunately, has gone through periods of getting picked a lot and not getting picked so much, which is great and a very big surprise. But overall, I'm not a particular fan of Ahri, but I don't love Ahri, and I don't particularly get really angry about Ahri. So, she's okay. I think as far as crazy, dashy bullshit champions go, she's one of the more fair ones, so I'll give her that. Oh, Akali, why? Why? It's just excessive. People that play Akali, I think they have issues. I get very angry just by seeing her. She doesn't even need to do anything. She doesn't need to be playing well. The thing I hate most about Akali is probably that every time I see her and she's really strong, it's because there's some fucking tank build with Trinity Force or something that's just really good. And I think that's wrong. I think if you're going to be an assassin, be an assassin. I want to see assassins get played properly in this game. You'll find that most assassins are going to be in the Y category because they're not assassins. They're fucking carries, and it's really frustrating. Assassins should just be able to kill one person and then either they get out and they recall or they die. I don't really want to see them getting pentakills. So I don't like the stealth. I don't like the excessive dashing. I don't like the damage. So she can say goodbye. Akshan. Akshan I'm going to put at the top of indifference, but I think I might have to put him one higher or one lower. I'm not sure. I'll have to wait and see how this fills up. There is not anything about this guy that makes me particularly angry. I don't know if people get upset about the revive mechanic, because I've never gone, oh my god, fuck this game because of the revive mechanic. Very uncool. Okay, we're going to add a row above Skarner for the next one. Or we might make a low, we might put this one below and put Skarner in the new tier. Because we need Alistar in the very cool thanks tier. Very cool, thank you. What a champion. What a great champion. Perfect, through and through. Pre-rework and post-rework. When they changed his E and his passive around. Very happy. No complaints with Alistar, except for the fact that he's one of these guys that every time I come back to the game, he's been nerfed. Tanks always get nerfed. Tanks are not very well respected people. Alright, Amumu. Probably Amumu would have been not a fan back in the day, but I think that he gets played so rarely now that I see him so rarely now that he's just, I don't really feel one way about him or the other. I maybe used to play Amumu back in the days when I was learning how to jangle, but I don't know. I don't really feel anything about this guy. Anivia. Anivia is okay. We're going to make this, oh yeah, okay. We're going to make this the oh yeah, okay tier. Alright, I like that. Yeah, oh yeah, okay. Alright. Okay, so Anivia. I've never really played Anivia. I find Anivia extremely annoying to play against, but I don't get a visceral reaction to seeing her, so I don't know. She might be an indifferent as well. Might be indifferent. Annie's oh yeah, okay. Yeah, Annie's oh yeah, okay. If Annie comes up in an ARAM, I'm quite happy to play Annie. There was a period of time where I was very much not happy to see Annie, and that is when she had like an extra 100 attack range and was played in the support role. That is the time when I didn't particularly like Annie, but now when I see Annie, I go, oh yeah, okay, not bad. So, very fine with Annie. I like her. She can stay in the oh yeah, okay tier. If I get her in an ARAM, I will lock her in and I will play her as a tank. Aphelios. Alright, we might have to make a tier below indifference. Add a row below. That was above. Alright, we might have to make a category here for... Wow. Another anime boy girl. And put this guy in here. Because I suspect there will just be a lot of these, like, Genshin Impact characters. I don't know anything about Genshin, but he's going there. Ash is okay. I don't really get too upset about Ash. Aurelion Sol, not a fan. Don't really... Didn't play him before the rework. Definitely don't play him now. But I find him a hell of a lot more annoying now than he was before the rework. Probably any champion that builds Rylai's will be in the not a fan tier. I don't like being under a permanent slow. And you will find that probably because I'm a fan of these two champions, that might make sense to you. Or maybe it won't. I don't know. Okay, Azir is cool. We like Azir, and I like Azir because I probably have very fond memories of his release. Riot put on a hell of a show for his release, and it really stuck with me, and I was trying to play him, even though he was a bugged out mess. I did try and play him a lot. It's unfortunate that he's one of those champions that is just... he gets balanced for competitive or whatever. I don't know. But, like, I mean, if you play him enough, you can still... I think for some people, that's just an excuse, right? Bard. I think I want to like Bard. I think I want to like Bard. But every time I play Bard, I don't have a good time. Not a fan of Bel'Veth. Too many dashes. People like to say that Bel'Veth was a champion where they bait and switched you by saying, "Ooh, look, it's not really a hot girl. It's actually a crazy monster." But guess what? I think it's actually a crazy monster that Trojan horsed in a hot girl. So she can be another anime boy girl. I don't give a fuck. Not a fan. Too many dashes. Not a very interesting Void champion. It was a long time since the last interesting Void champion. They went in a completely different direction, and I'm not happy about that. Blitzcrank. I like Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank's one of those champions that you probably really hated when you first started playing the game, especially in bot lane. Nope, I don't feel too unhappy about Blitzcrank. Nope, not sir, not one bit. I will quickly do the Skarners and just say why I put them where they are. So unfortunately there are 3 Skarners like this guy. If it's the original Skarner, he's here. If it's the Skarner that had the 3-stack passive, it's here. If it's the Skarner that had the spires, it's down here. And if it's this Skarner, it's complete indifference. Don't care. But I haven't really played him much, so there's that. So take your pick on which Skarner you think. If it's Spire Skarner, it's down here. It's stupid, and I don't think it's stupid because, like, these two, I hate playing against these two. I don't get a lot of fun out of playing them. When it's this guy, he was not really particularly painful to play against, but he was definitely very painful to play. Yes, not very good. Didn't like it. Yeah, boy, there we go. Was there really any other place that we could put the man with the wall? The funniest part about playing this guy is when you roll him in an ARAM and you get her against her. Yeah, sucked in misfortune. There are some characters that this guy can just make their life a living hell. And that's great. Caitlyn. Caitlyn might have to go there. Because I can't say I feel indifferent about Caitlyn, because I do respect Caitlyn. And I don't have a problem with Caitlyn. She doesn't make me particularly upset. I think she's generally pretty fair. She's got a number of changes over the years, and I think the range has become less and less important. That she can comfortably sit in the oh yeah okay tier. There's no particular order to most of these. Yeah. Not a fan. Not a fan. Yep. I mean, if I could ban 10 champions, she's one of the ones I would ban. Okay, Darius. I actually feel pretty indifferent about Darius. Not sure if I can explain why. I think there are times when Darius might have been higher on my list, lower on my list. I don't know. Darius just doesn't really get my endorphins going when I play him. And I think since the Juggernaut rework all those years ago, pretty fair. Cassiopeia, not a fan. Yep, not really a fan of this one. Yep, I don't know what else to say. I played her a little bit when they gave her the stacking mechanic, and then I stopped playing her when they decided she didn't need shoes anymore because she's a snake and she can't put on shoes. Yeah. I probably, looking back, I think that maybe the no shoes thing might have been actually a good change in hindsight. I remember being upset about losing the stacking mechanic, but I think that not every champion needs to be a stacking mechanic. I've noticed a trend with Riot where if they don't know what to do with someone, they'll give them a stacking mechanic. And yeah, I don't think she needed that stacking mechanic, but anyway, not really a fan, and the reason I'm not a fan is because of my asthma. I don't like not being able to move and flash. It's very annoying. Okay, Nah. I'm not really a fan of Nah, but I don't know if I'm like really annoyed by Nah. I used to play a little bit of Nah when he first came out, and I don't think Nah's really changed at all since release. But if I'm playing against him, I'm not particularly having a good time. Cho'Gath. Very cool, thanks. Very cool, thanks. I like getting big. And I don't want to be big. I want to be massive. So, Cho'Bash, very cool, thanks. Very cool, thanks. Corki, complete indifference for Corki. I don't even know what to say. There are some Corki players that are very good that they can make me think fucking why. But most of the time it's complete indifference. Not a fan of Diana. Not a very big fan at all. I think I'm not sure if I like her more or less after they changed her ultimate. I did used to play her a little bit, but I like her more as a bruiser than I do as an assassin. But yeah, like if I'm playing against assassins, I'm very rarely having a good time. Dr. Mundo, probably before the rework, he was very cool, thanks, very cool. But nowadays he's okay. Not really a go-to for me. Weird to say that I really prefer the old version over the current version. I feel like nowadays when I play Mundo, I just feel like, holy shit, I heal nothing. I heal absolutely nothing. Draven. I did do 30 days of Draven for Movember once. Probably around that time I thought he was oh yeah okay or even very cool, thanks. But I feel like nowadays it's complete indifference. And when I try to play Draven nowadays, I feel like I'm not having a very good time. So we can go there. Echo. When it was Tank Echo, it was probably when he was released, he was probably all the way down here, and when he was Tank Echo, I was probably not a fan. And nowadays, it's this indifference panel is gonna get really fucking big. When Elise was really strong, I probably wasn't a fan, but nowadays it's indifference. This is indifference. This should be way more polarizing than it is, but this is one of those characters. There are some characters that have a really bullshit mechanic, like permanent stealth. And Sometimes when you give someone like a really strong skill, the rest of their kit has to be fucking dog water. But if you make it good and passably good, then that champion drifts into getting played all the time. And that's bad. Okay, one of my least favorite champions in the game, Brand. I fucking hate Brand. Fucking hate him. Fucking hate him. There was a period of time where you never saw Brand, and so it was never a problem. Great. No, not a big deal. And then there was a really long stretch of time, around the time I think when Annie was just starting to get phased out of the support role, that this fucker started showing up in the support role. And that made me really, really angry, because I don't like playing against supports in the support role whose main role of supporting is pumping out a lot of damage. What is the point? Oh, but he's got a stun or whatever. I don't care if he's got a stun. A lot of people have stuns. That doesn't mean you play him support. And so Riot's solution to taking this champion that did a lot of damage and had I don't know if it's a 2-second stun or not. And he's being played in the support role because he deals a lot of damage and he has a 2-second stun. What can we do about him? Let's give him way more damage. And in the support role, he continues to be played. Love it. Ezreal. I want to say he's okay, but I don't feel like particularly that strongly about him. Fiddlesticks. This is one of those guys that people really like because the design is cool. I don't feel anything for him. Not a fan of this one. Mainly because I feel like the people that play are extremely arrogant. Fizz is a why. Why Fizz? Why? Untargetables make the game really jarring. When you're playing a game and you can't click on a guy for like a very brief amount of time, and you start moving or do it it throws you off, and it makes the game very frustrating. Also characters, and you fit into this category too, of characters that dash through and past you and really fuck up where you're clicking. Really annoying. Not a fan. Galio is one of those champions that I probably should enjoy, but I feel like thinking about it now, every time I play against Galio, I'm not having a good time. Okay, Gangplank. Genghis Plankus. Very cool, thanks. Pre and post rework. I played a lot of pre-rework Gangplank, and like everyone else, I have extremely fond memories of the Burning Tides event. Very similar to this guy. They did a fun thing, and I like it when Riot does fun things, because Riot does not very often do a lot of fun things. So when they do fun things, and they'll usually do fun things for like a year or two, and then they will cease all fun things ever again. And of course, they're doing fun things again now. So very cool, thanks. Yep, they kept him mostly the same. The only thing, and the barrels are great, and they're very rewarding when you get right, and they're very frustrating when you fucking get him wrong and it's the tiniest bit out of range and shit like that. So very frustrating, but very fun, very rewarding. Mostly the same as what he was before the rework. I will say, there's only one thing that I don't really like about this Gangplank that old Gangplank had, and that's that I feel like with old Gangplank you could play him like 6 or 7 different builds. There was just 100 different builds you could do with Gangplank, and I'm going to name all 6 or 7 of them. AP Gangplank, Crit Gangplank, Bank Plank, Tank Plank. I played Tank Plank. There you go. There's like 4 Gangplanks. That's 7, right? Can't really do any of that with this guy now. There's not a lot of ways you can play him. Garen is very cool, thanks. Love Garen. I love Garen. Alright? Why do I have Darius here and Garen here? Well, Garen is one of these champions that I think is very, very rewarding when you're doing very well with Garen. It makes the endorphins rush. The ult feels really big and really cool. I think it feels way cooler to ult with Garen than it does with Darius. And Darius gets resets. Yeah, spin to win. I think Garen is... this is going to be very controversial. Garen is very hard sometimes to do well on. Because champions that are a little bit on the bad side, you have to be a little bit better on than your opponent because you're playing with fewer tools. So, and it's like, oh yeah, but he can only do like 2 or 3 things. Well, I find that I actually think if Garen had a dash, although he would be better, if Garen had a dash, that would make him more linear, assuming the dash was dash to an opponent like someone else, Demacian, that I think is very bad. But did get picked in Worlds, so what do I know? Garen is very cool, thanks. I like Garen, I like seeing Garen, I like playing Garen, I like doing well on Garen. I like being this big, bulky, tanky guy that just keeps doing persistent damage and really frustrates people, and he's really hard to get rid of. Okay. Okay, so part of me wants to put Gragas up here, but I don't really play Gragas, so I think Gragas should go here. And Gragas, I think, is pretty cool. I think watching those videos where Gragas is singing the French song, when Gragas is singing the French song from Arcane and he's blowing people into his barrels and making them explode and doing a lot of damage, and he's flash dashing people. I really love watching the Gragas outplay clips. They're extremely funny. Graves, I think, is really fun post-rework, and I didn't really play him much pre-rework, but he's definitely at the bottom of very cool things. But, man, when you can dash around and deal a lot of damage and just pump people with this guy, it's very cool. We're going to move on to Hecarim. Fecarim, sometimes he's very cool, thanks, but sometimes I play against him and I get a little bit like, I'm sick of this guy. When you can get this guy rolling and you can notice that his W is healing you and keeping you topped up and feeling very good. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I like him. He's cool. I love Dingle Dongler. I don't play a lot of Dingle Dongler because Dingle Dongler is a guy that sometimes you see the videos of him getting fucking pentakills and not being touched, and then sometimes you play him in game and you go, how come my guy doesn't do that? Well, that's Heimerdinger. I like him, and I like it when he solos epic camps. I think it's very funny. Illinois, see you later. Why? Really hate her. The Pentakill champion. Champion that can 1v5 and heal her health bar with her ultimate. Why? Why would she do that? Ripping your soul out. The counter players don't get your soul ripped out. Burning Tides. Completely different character in the fucking written thing that I was reading about to what showed up in the game. This is one of those champions that people would put all the way up here for design. I put her all the way down here. I think she looks fine as a muscle mommy. But, yep, don't like her. Okay, Ivan. Wow, complete indifference. Nicky Boy would not be happy. Not a fan of Jaina. Jaina, very annoying. Enchanter supports, very bad. Very not cool. Tank supports, very cool, thanks. Jaina, no thank you. Not very fun. J4. Sometimes J4 is a Y, and sometimes I'm just not a fan. I used to play J4, and I used to think, man, I just feel like I don't do much on this champion. And then I found out the correct way to play J4, this big bulky dude that has really good crowd control, great initiation, wearing this big suit of armor. Actually, the correct way to play him is full AD. Great. Jax is, I think, very cool, thanks. When I used to play him, I don't play him so much anymore. So I think, yeah, okay, he's pretty cool. Jace, ooh. I mean, with Arcane, he's probably allowed in this tier. I think I've returned to indifference on Jace. Sometimes Shock Blast does my life bar, and sometimes it doesn't do really much at all. Um, so I could really go one way or the other. Anyway. Jin is very cool, thanks. Very cool, thanks. Yep. Same reason everyone else thinks he's very cool, thanks. Although sometimes playing against him, why? Uh, when you can't catch him and he's running away and he's too fast, it's very why. Jinx was probably very cool, thanks. Actually, I think I need to re-review because I don't think these characters belong. Let's say better than indifference. Add row below. Oh, oops! I just renamed it. Okay, so this is very cool. Thanks. Not too shabby. Let's make a not too shabby tier for characters that I like. You would probably be at the top of that. Yeah, I feel a little bit better about this, and that probably allows me to move some of these guys up here. But I do like the name of... Oh yeah, okay. Better than... Not too shabby. This is great. I feel like I'm finding out that there are more champions I like than dislike, which is good. Let's see. Kramer is not too shabby. Kramer's not too shabby. I want to put I want to put Karthus in very cool, thanks, but I don't like him any more than any of these guys, so I'll probably put him here. Kassadin is very cool, but I think he's just an OELK. Just okay. Yeah, I like Kassadin. I think Kassadin's very fun to play. Don't know what the fuck happened to his daughter, but he's very cool to play. Katarina at different times, I'm not a fan, or why? Another one of these, but by Alawi standards, she probably belongs down there. In terms of being a pentakill champion. I remember when they decided they were going to rework her in the Mage update, and their vision for Katarina was Pentakiller. Right. AoE Assassin. Love it. Not bad. Kale's not too shabby. Sometimes I think I like Kale more than I do, but I think she's not too shabby. Kennen I actually feel pretty indifferent about. Kennen's never a guy that really stuck for me when I was playing him. God, when he pops off, he's fucking why, but most of the time Karthus not too shabby. Kindred not too shabby, but yeah, a lot of these guys are in this tier because like I've tried playing them and I don't really have a lot of success playing them, but they don't make me angry when I'm playing against them. Complete indifference about this guy, although he is, he's humorous. I love Cogmore. Cogmore's very fun. Very indifferent about this guy because I feel like I don't play against him much. Hard to say where she belongs. Probably just not a fan. I'm actually not a fan of Leona either. Leona, you would think, tank person, very cool, thanks. No, I think she's tank support for babies. So we put her down here. Lysandra, not too shabby. Lysandra's cool. Lucian, not too shabby. Lulu, oh my god. Okay, so Lulu's not too shabby, but Lulu makes me very angry when I play against her. I find her very frustrating to play against, but I wouldn't change a thing about her. So I think that means I got to put her in not too shabby, although if I had to play against her, she's all the way down here. Come around on Lux. Used to hate Lux a lot more. Okay, this guy. If you play him AP, why? If you play him tank. Very cool, thanks. Very cool, thanks. So we'll put him somewhere down here, not too shabby. Malzahar, why? This guy not too shabby. I think I miss the circle around himself that reduces all incoming damage. I miss that. I think if he still had that, he'd be a tier higher. But I guess they took it out for a reason. Not a fan of Master Yi. Milo, I've played one whole game of Milo and I thought he was fun. I'm going to put him in not too shabby. I don't say that about a lot of new champions. Mordekaiser versus Numero Umo. Not too shabby. I want the old one back. Oh, depending on the team, she's all the way down here when she's putting black shields on. But if I'm being realistic, another champion I wouldn't change. Complete Indifference. Ooh, another one of these Enchanter supports. I'll put her right next to her sister Jaina. Yo, it's D. Kane. He's cool. I like him. He's not quite reached this upper echelon of my favorites. And if I was to order this, it would be something like that. Yeah. Nautilus. Nautilus, one of these guys that yeah, okay. Like, I've played him in the past. He probably should be a tier higher, but I just feel like, for me, he's never really properly made the click for me. Nico. I've never hated Nico. I think I probably have been too hard on Nico in the past. But I find the shenanigans very funny. There are different versions of Nidalee that are absolutely why or not a fan. I will leave her in not a fan. There are Nidalee when I started playing, throwing fucking javelin spears from the fog of war and life barring you. That is why. There is rework Nidalee that they made. They changed like the cougar stuff to be as it is now, but she built AD and went top. That was why. And then they changed her to be a jungler, and now I'm kind of just not a fan. But the AD Nidalee that was top lane, I think if they changed her spell damage to be physical, and then I could itemize against her, I think she would have been not too shabby. But because they decided not to do that, and instead to make her a jungler, which made me say why, but at least made me think I'm not a fan. Nyla, complete indifference. This guy's complete indifference. Oh, this is one of those ones you either love him or hate him, but guess what? I'm completely indifferent. Yo, Olaf. He's okay. Olaf's a lot of fun. When you get rolling on Olaf, he's a lot of fun. Orianna, she's a staple of the game. Staple of competitive. You gotta respect Orianna. And she's fair. Everything about her, I think, is very fair. Ornn, I think Ornn's very cool. I like Ornn. He's one of these guys that can get really, really big. And, yeah, I think he's like one of the... Even though he hasn't got, like, the infinite scaling of, like, this guy, he can get way tanker than him because he gets so many bonus stats. And that's without even talking about upgrading ally items, things like that. Unfortunately, I just haven't played too much of him, but I definitely put him up there. Pantheon is a guy that I definitely enjoy playing. Poppy is a character that I have to put not too shabby, because Poopy, never really clicked with me, Poopy, unfortunately. Pyke, why? What were you thinking? This is why this tier is here, because I have to say, what were you thinking? Why is he always getting picked? Why does he do so much damage? Why the spires? Why so much dashing? Why the stealth? Why the troll pole? Why the 1v5? Why the space aids? Why is he a support with an execute? Don't get it. Why? I don't get it. I don't get the appeal. I feel like this is just trying to push the bar into territory we didn't need to go into, and I don't like the people that play him. There's a reason we don't put stacks of crowd control onto assassins, and here is your example why. If he was viable in any other lane, he would be the most frustrating champion in the history of the game. And I'll tell you what, he's not too far off. And if I was going to order this, it would go something like this. Something like this so far. You know, when she throws me into a wall, I never expect how far she throws me. But overall, she's probably indifference. I'll just put her there. Quinn is indifference. Rakan is indifference. Ramus is a guy that I used to play a lot of, so I got to pay him his due. Rek'Sai is complete indifference, but she has points over Belveth, in that as far as a Void champion goes, it's exactly what I would want, but I've never really played Rek'Sai. Rel is complete indifference, bordering on not too shabby. Like, this is a hard one to order, but these two would be higher on the list. He would be way lower on the list. He'd be pretty low on the list. It's hard to grade a bunch of champions I don't really feel particularly strong about, but I think this is not too shabby. Yeah, haven't played against it a lot, but definitely not too shabby. Love playing Renekton, but I probably have 3 bad games for every good game I get with him. Rengar is sometimes Y, sometimes not a fan. When you're getting exploded by Rengar and he heals his whole life bar back, he's definitely Y. So it really just depends on the pilot. Riven, when I used to play top lane a lot, was definitely down here. Nowadays, I'm just not really a fan. I just feel like she's not popping off like she used to. Rumble, I feel very indifferent about. Ryze, not too shabby. Ryze, one of those guys I try to play but never really get away with. I will say I'm not a fan of Samira. There's definitely a genre of champion that's meant to go in here, and it's usually just champions that give me the shits, and happen to look like anime girls. Really, it just depends on who you're playing, whether or not you don't like her. Because I played a game against her as Shen the other day, and if that was my experience with her all the time, she'd be way up here because not a problem, or maybe she'd make indifference. But there are games where I'm not playing a champion who can deal with her, and she's all the way down here in Y because she's one of those big AoE finishes for kills your whole team. So I guess I just have to meet in the middle and put her here. Yeah. Jesus. This is a guy. I'll just quickly cover some of the fucking anime girls and boys that I've put in here. This is a guy that I think playing Rust I want to like more. I can't put together the. I don't really enjoy him, and I don't really enjoy playing against him. Okay. Wow, what a disaster of game design. Complete disaster of game design. Complete disaster of visual design. Complete disaster of character. You make your father very upset by existing. I don't think anyone seriously likes this person other than because they want to pound her latex ass. Dumb. Just dumb. Complete dumb. Dumb. Yeah, they're all dumb. They're all dumb. I don't really have anything to say about him. I probably don't feel that bad about him. What do they all say? If it's red and white, you don't want to fight. Oh, this is a character that I should like more than I do, but she's very unsatisfying to play. Like, tanks need to be able to do just enough damage, I feel like, or have just enough feeling and impact that you want to play them more, which most of the tanks that I've put up here really fit into that category. I do not feel it with her at all, so maybe I'm building wrong. I'm not a fan to indifference. It depends on the day. I don't understand why the giant cannon. Really don't like the range, I guess. I don't like the extended range. Yeah, so I think she definitely belongs there. This is a guy that you have to say why. Like, if you're playing a game and you got and there's just fucking boxes everywhere and you're getting like pink watered, he's definitely down here. When I was playing him, I did play him for a little bit, and I thought I was actually, really enjoying him as an AD, not an AP. So yeah, it's a problem because there are um, how you feel when you play a champion versus when you're playing against a champion, but also when you're playing when it's one build of a champion versus a different build of a champion, um, and how often you come across, and like in this guy's case, how often do you come across someone who's really fucking dominating on it, right? So it's hard to say. Um, so like just like in a vacuum, I don't think I hate either of these two. Um, yeah, I mean, aesthetically, design wise, this is absolutely a Y, but I'll let her stay here. This guy is a champion that I probably would enjoy playing if I did play, but anyway, I hear he's hitched up with this guy. Shen! There are different iterations of Shen that I think are very cool, thanks. Very cool, thanks. But I think I'll just put him in, oh yeah, okay. Fun. Yeah, sometimes I think he's really fun to play, and sometimes I think he's really frustrating to play against, and sometimes I'm not that perturbed by him. I'm not really a fan of Shyvana, especially when she builds AP. I'm not really a fan of Singed, although I do play Singed sometimes. As a general rule, the champions that very commonly build Rylai's, I think should be down here. I think if they removed Rylai's from the game, as they absolutely should, he would come up to here. But until then, he's down here. Sion is very cool, thanks. Very cool, thanks. I love Sion. But Lethality Sion is Y. And people only really want to be like Baus and play Lethality Sion, so he's Y. But when I play Sion, he's very cool, thanks. Very cool, thanks. Siva, complete indifference about Siva, although I do like it when she's on my team, but I do not personally play Siva. Sona doesn't get played enough at the moment for me to really rank. Soraka's a Y. Soraka's very painful to play against. All the enchanters, I put them all together for this. They're all very annoying in their own ways. Nami probably the least so. But Soraka's probably the worst of them. Why do I think that? It's because she's got a point and click AoE silence. And you have to focus her in fights, which means you can't be focusing any of these other motherfuckers. So she's a brick wall in the face of a lot of pain. A lot of pain. Swain. Swain's one of those guys I think I want to like more. When I play him, I don't feel like it really clicks. And I felt that way about old Swain too. Silas. Not a fan. I think he heals too much. It's very annoying. I'm so indifferent about Syndra, and I've seen her so little. There was a period of time where she was getting played a lot for the range of her stun. She could get really good pick potential. And then I think she copped a nerf, and so Xerath ended up being the better pick over her. And then Xerath took center stage for a while. That's my only real memory of her. I remember she had a dead passive that was just if your skill, when you max your skills out, they do something additional. I don't know if she still does that or not. I don't know what she does anymore because I stole a cannon minion from my friend yesterday and he got really angry at me and I had no idea why. I was just being funny because I thought he was being greedy and stealing and wanted all the cannons for himself. No, apparently he needs to kill them for stacking. And this is what I meant earlier about Cassiopeia having a stacking mechanic. Syndra's got a stacking mechanic now. I feel like when Riot, they don't know what to do, they just give a character a stacking mechanic. Do enough of these and you get this. Crazy. Tahm Kench. Very cool, thanks. Very cool, thanks. When you're playing against him, why? When you are playing him, very cool, thanks. Very cool. And usually, I'm the one playing him. I love health tanks. I love tanks that build a lot of health and they have a lot of staying power and they don't go away. And I mean, this is a guy that has like, kind of like Garen, he has a built-in Warmogs, but it's way better than Garen's passive. So like you just build a Spirit Visage and you can take all this damage, walk away, heal everything back. He's doing a lot of damage for his health. So He's really satisfying to play. You can pull your teammates out of really dumb positions, and sometimes they will either yell at you or be very happy with you when you do that. Usually they jump out of your mouth after 1 second when they really should stay in for the full, I think it's 3. I think he gets them in there for 3. Can't remember. Either way, very fun. Very fun to play. Talia. When I'm getting hit by her fucking rocks, I'm not a fan. But I don't think that's enough reason to put her down there. Talon. Oh, when I played Talon, he was probably up here. Probably a little bit more down here. I played Talon before he got parkour. I played him a little bit after he got parkour. I have a problem with stealth champions at the moment where sometimes I feel like there's no way they should be able to see me, but they are autoing me, and I am stealthed, and I don't know what's going on. Still haven't figured out why that's happening. Until then, he's not too shabby. Captain Teemo. Captain Teemo. I actually don't despise Teemo. I did play against him today, and I found him very frustrating, but I mean, it's his thing, and I don't have a huge problem with it. Thresh is not too shabby. I feel like the people that play Thresh think they're a lot more valuable a human being than they actually are. But yeah, I don't mind Thresh. He's kind of like baby's first... Nautilus is like baby's first Thresh in some ways, but... Yeah, I just... He's got pick potential, and he's got Lantern. And I don't feel like... Yeah, like I guess he can like disrupt dashes and shit. Initiation with Flay. It's like there are things he can do, but the funny thing about Thresh is that no one thing other than maybe Lantern feels really so much more impactful than anything someone else can do. Like, maybe I'm wrong. But, I mean, historically, hey, he's been a good champion. People have really liked him. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, as far as 80 carries go, Tristana is one of the ones that I very much enjoy playing. I have a lot of fun on Tristana. It's crazy how different she is, despite being so similar to the old Tristana. The old Tristana used to just get a lot of range, and if people came near you, you would bust a shot or you would jump away. But on this Tristana, you are stacking bombs and jumping into melee range and then jumping somewhere else, and so it makes me wonder why she still has the same passive, even though she barely gets any range out of it. Trundle, oh yeah, okay. Trundle has gotten harder and harder and harder and harder and harder to play over the years, but you can still press R, so that's okay. Tryndamere, I don't feel very strongly about, but I have enjoyed playing him, and AP Tryndamere is pretty fun too, I guess. I actually think that we should have voted for Tryndamere last time around when we had the choice of this guy over Skarner. I think we should have voted for Tryndamere. I have my idea about what I would want Tryndamere to look like, and it's not particularly a lot different. I would do one very minor change that I won't say because I don't want to get flamed, but I think this is probably the guy that we actually did want reworked. Not Shyvana. Shyvana doesn't need like full kit, full visual, full everything. Shyvana could literally get away with some gameplay updates and be a very strong champion and very playable. Just some gameplay updates. The model's like serviceable. Yeah, not too shabby. It's fun to play sometimes. Twitch goes right next to Tristana. These are the 280 carries that I actually enjoy playing. So since I do actually play them, they have to go higher up on the list with all of these guys. Jinx, actually, I'm going to put down at the top of not too shabby. And Jhin as well, because I feel like up here should only be champions that I play, which means Teemo has to come down as well. I do like Kog'Maw. This guy's like really edging me out because his montages are so funny. Okay, everyone here I play or have played enough that I'm comfortable with them being in this tier. Gragas I only really played when he was played more as like a tanky jungler. Yeah, it works. Udom the Animal Man. Why? 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 And I'm really like most frustrated about this because I was perfectly happy with the old Udia, and I think they made him just fucking donkey's fucking breakfast fucking bad with the rework. I think it's one of the. I think it's actually probably the worst rework they've ever done. I hate the new passive that effectively gives him an ultimate version of every stance. The stances don't really feel like stances anymore. They feel more like abilities. I don't like that people play him with a Liandry's Torment. That's really frustrating. I actually think he would be much more fun just being the old one again. I think the old one was fun. You know, he was always just Udia. But unfortunately, cops a lot of strain nerfs. Complete indifference about Urgot. The old one was funny and disgusting. Definitely at the bottom of the tier, though, like this guy. Yeah, Urgot. The old one was funny and memey and all the rest of it. And, like, the new one's, like, cool. It's fine. Okay, Varus. By the same margin of token that I put these three up here, he also has to go up here with them because I do play Varus in an 80 carry role and I do enjoy it. I like the way that his skills that they're very clearly stringed together. I think he's very well made. Vayne. I think when I played more towards the start, Vayne was definitely a Y. For the potential that she still holds, even though I don't see her a lot anymore, I'm probably still just not a fan. Veigar. I play Veigar. Yeah, I like playing Veigar. Veigar's funny. I like Veigar. Okay, Vel'Koz, you know, I used to play a lot of Vel'Koz, but I don't find him that satisfying to play, so he's probably going to have to go into not too shabby. Vex I don't see a lot of. Don't know a lot about Vex. Don't really know what all her skills do through and through. I know that she fucking makes people run away scared. And I know what to look out for with her visual skills, but I don't really know what she does. And I'm not really that angry about her. Hey, my other least favorite champion in the game to play against is Vi. Vi is Baby's first jungler. If you play Vi, you are telling me that you don't really know how to play the game, so you're going to play a champion that plays it for you. That's Vi. Not really a fan of Viego. He does have to go here, though, doesn't he? Oh, why? Except this is the old Victor, so yeah, boy. Old Victor. Before they fucking made him the arcane version, he was my guy. And I did play Victor. Here's what you have to understand about Victor. Victor only gets played when Victor is strong. That is still the same with the current Victor. It's the same of it's true of most champions, really, but Victor is routinely not allowed to be strong in League of Legends. And so they attribute low pick rate to his design not being very interesting. He's got no less or more interesting a design of any other character here that I see. I mean, really, not the League of Legends designs and lore and all the rest of it. They're not fucking modern works of art. This is really good. This is really high up there. But, I mean, everything else, I mean, come on. Like, seriously? They're not that good. So, yeah, I mean, perfectly fine, perfectly serviceable. He had a nice little kit. I really liked when his Hex Core was an item in the shop that you started with and you upgraded all your skills that way. I really liked that. There were certain builds of Victor that I really enjoyed playing, and he wasn't really particularly strong at the time. Even before that, when you can only upgrade the Hex Core once and you get one of 3 and it would upgrade a specific ability, there was a serviceable reason for me, anyway, why you would pick any 3, because I played a lot of him. And then I take a break from the game, and when I come back, they've changed him into something else. Visually, they've made him I mean, still the same character, but I have to say, why? Why? Why couldn't you make it a skin? It's not the same character. And it's really frustrating. And you really could have just done some kit modernizations and had a champion there. The game should not be pandering to Arcane. Arcane doesn't need to pander to the game. They can reuse ideas and things like that, but I mean, it's not one for one, but the game shouldn't have to match up to Arcane. Vladimir, I feel I'll play him if I have to play him if he comes up in an ARAM, but I feel like I'm not a fan. Volibear, I'm not a fan. Volibear is one of those characters, kind of like Evelyn. The only difference is that I play Volibear. Now, these characters are not similar at all, don't get me wrong. Except for the fact that they could both be played jungle, right? But Volibear has a mechanic that I think his whole kit has to be made deliberately weaker because he has this mechanic. Volibear has Ohmwrecker in his kit. Ohmwrecker is the thing that turns off towers. Now, you can make a champion a perfectly fine, perfectly good, serviceable tower diver. There's so many of them, right? Your niche doesn't need to be that you are the quote-unquote best tower diver in the game. And to be honest, I wouldn't even say that makes you the best tower diver in the game. I would argue that fucking where is she? I would argue that this is a better tower diver. This is a better tower diver. I think there are a lot of very, very good tower divers in the game that don't need to turn the tower off. But because you do turn the tower off, I feel like your kit is deliberately made weaker. So I think if they completely changed this guy's ultimate to be something completely different, we could have a champion that was consistently good and consistently playable. And you know what? I think if they did that now, you'd have a night, and I think you'd have a nightmare of a champion, because when this guy really pops off, even when he's like often a lot weaker than he probably should be, when this guy pops off, he can be an absolute menace that never dies. Really frustratingly so, because he's stacking shields on top of heals. That gives him more staying power than even some of these more tanky boys up there. I think his base stats feel like they're weak or something. I don't know. Because I feel like this guy's base stats feel really bad. In terms of tankiness, that even if you do build tank, it feels like you can't hang around for very long. Yeah, I feel like this guy is deliberately made weaker. I'm not very good at articulating that, so you can tell me I'm wrong. That's great. And I feel like she's the same. Where because she has such a strong gimmick and that she's always invisible, her kit has to be a little bit weaker, or else why not play her every fucking game? This is a guy that everyone thinks has one of the best reworks in the game, and I have played like a decent amount of this guy, but I just think he's not too shabby. I did play the old Warwick, not like not as much as my boy up here, but I did play the old Warwick. There are a couple of things that I don't really like about this Warwick. I don't like that he hangs on when you flash, and I don't like the way his blood hunt works. I don't like that it's global. It's very strange to me. I'm not even sure if it needs an active component, or if they gave it an active component, I kind of wish it would do something else. I don't know what I would do to make this character any better. There's just a couple of things that I think people treat this like it's the most perfect rework ever. I think it's pretty good, but I think there's a couple of things that make it not so perfect for me. Wukong. At times, I feel like I've been not a fan of Wukong, but because I feel like over time, as the game's gotten, a little bit more anime, I start to appreciate Son Wukong a little bit more. I don't really know where to put you, so I feel like I'll just put you and Rakan together like you should be in the anime girl tier. Xerath not too shabby. I don't feel like I can be mad about anything Xerath does. I can be mad about how I perform when I play him. I'm not a fan of Xin Zhao. And I have tried to play and tried to enjoy Xin Zhao, but I think he's I think he's so linear a champion. This is like, I brought up, I was talking about this earlier a little bit with Garen, in that, like, you would think Garen's very linear because he does, like, he runs in, he silences you, he starts spinning, he presses his shield to soak damage, and then he presses the R button. I think Xin Zhao is more limited than, more linear than Garen. I think what he does is more consistent. You know, you hit the skill shot, you can dash in. That's like a good thing they added to his kit to like help him. But I find him very, once he's in, what do you do? You kind of just auto and hope you live long enough to kill everyone. There are, I've heard that there are better Xin Zhao players the higher up in the ranks that you go, and they perform a lot better than the lower ranks. And yeah, that's very surprising. I mean, yeah, right, people who are better at the game are going to be better on Xin Zhao. But I feel like, although I feel like this champion has less options than this champion. Because I think he just goes in and he autos, but he's probably better. Like, he's generally better in like more skirmishy type situations where he can't get like 1v5 focused. So I would never play him. Although it's the only time I would play him, I would never want to play him in ARAMs. Yeah, I don't know. He's been getting picked in Worlds, and I don't know why, because I generally think he's one of the weakest champions in the game. Okay, when this guy was released, he was an absolute Y. But over time, this champion was released, who was a definite Y. And so now this champion is not too shabby. And honest to God, I played this guy in the card game a lot, and I really enjoyed him in the card game, and it probably softened me up to him a lot in the actual game. I just think over time, this guy, who has mascot status, has become not really that infuriating a champion compared to his release. And he's basically the same, like, the only numbers differences, really, if any. And I don't find him that frustrating. I think he's actually fair. Um, but this guy, absolutely not. Absolutely not. What were they thinking? Design wise, I hate him. He looks stupid. He should be in here, but he's so Y, he has to be down here. He looks nothing at all the way he should look. I'll show you what he should look like. He should look like this guy. Oh my god, it took me to the wiki page. He should look like this guy, right? That's what he should look like. And I got really excited when I thought he was coming to the game, because I thought he would look like that guy. And that guy looks like... This guy looks like a bruiser. And I think that's really cool. And what does he do in the card game? He's a big chunky boy in the card game that comes out and stuns two guys. And he's got two swords. And I think this could be really cool. This is more like a bruisery type, samurai type guy, you know, a little bit of like Shen, but Shen's a lot more supportive, so this guy can be a lot more offensive. We could have a really fun champion. No, they just released some dumb anime shit, and it's really annoying. Okay, Yorick is... I feel like for some people, Yorick is a Y. For me, he's not too shabby. I feel like this is a guy that I want to play more of, and if I did play more of, he'd be up here. But I just don't really get much out of poor Yorick. Oh, this is a Y. Oh my god. And I don't know if I need to explain to a lot of people why this is a Y. This is just, you know, pick a carry and sit on the... Whoever's doing the best, I'll just give you a free ride and you'll never die. Like, take Soraka, but you don't need... But now the Soraka can't be focused. Zac! When Zac came out, very cool, thanks. Very cool, thanks. But over time, Zac's gone down and not too shabby. I'll tell ya, I was probably not going to keep playing this game had I not come into playing the game when Zac was announced and his, like, spotlight came out, and I thought, this is really cool. This is a really awesome champion. And I played him a lot over the years, but now playing Zac, it's really hard. It's really hard to play Zac in the current modern day. And he was already like not particularly good on release, so you got to feel bad for him. Okay, there are times when I've just thought why with Zed. The only thing that's a why for me with Zed is that why can't Riot just let this guy be bad for a season? Why? I'll put him there. Ah, Jesus. Okay. Ziggs. I like Ziggs. Not too shabby. Zilean. I've played Zilean quite a bit in the past. Zilean's really funny to play when you're doing well on Zilean. But when you're playing against Zilean, he is very frustrating. But, you know, I got fonder memories of playing Zilean than I do playing against Zilean. Zoe. So, Zoe is like... Where's Nidalee? Zoe is like the modern day old school Nidalee in some ways. But Zoe's... I think for me, the thing that saves Zoe for me is the ultimate, the portaling mechanic. That she has a little bit of this Draven syndrome where you know where she's going to be. But in Draven's case, he doesn't have to catch the axe. He doesn't have to go there. But because you know where she's going to be, you can plan around it and you can do something with that. Like, even fucking dipshit LeBlanc doesn't have to go back, but you can play around her going back, but she doesn't have to. I should be giving Yone the benefit of this doubt, but he never needs... But he fucking kills you before he goes back anyway, so who cares? So I want to say I'm not a fan, but I think over time she's appreciated for me. Not a fan of Zyra. Not a fan. Especially when she builds Rylai's. Anyone who builds Rylai's, Liandry's, it's very frustrating for me. I would have thought this champion was not too shabby, and then I listened to her voice lines. Now I'm not a fan. Smolder. I don't feel like I've played enough against Smolder. So, Instincts. So I should probably be putting him in Indifference. I don't even really care about the weird face. Ambessa, I have not actually played too much against. But I hear people really hate her. So I'm going to put her in... Indifference. I haven't played too much about her. Mel, I actually think not too shabby. There's... I still don't fully know what she does. But I know she can reflect spells. And I tend to agree with people who don't think that that's the worst part about her. Okay. It's Teemo again. Yeah, where's the other Teemo? There you go. Gotta love Teemo. Yonara is, well, I mean, come on. Okay, I don't really think I have much else to say. You probably think this is the worst list in the world, but I said that this was a list based on how I personally feel when I queue up and there's a champion there, or when I see the face, how do I feel? There you go. That's how they're ranked. Yeah, I got nothing else to say. I did this for me. So, goodbye.